Hello and welcome to this episode of the Excalibur podcast, hosted by me, Kyle Brooks. I have a topic today that is probably going to trigger a lot of people, and it is hunger is not a real thing. Being hungry and then blaming your mood and the way that you behave on being hungry, that is the biggest scapegoat that I've ever come into contact with in my entire life. The fact that you think that by experiencing hunger pains that you can behave and treat people in a certain way, it's bullshit. Let's be honest. And if you truly were hungry, let's be honest, you wouldn't be acting that way. And how I know this is I have gone through a 84-hour fast. And during that time, I went through some interesting feelings, and feelings of both anguish, of feeling elated, but also feeling depressed. And throughout that entire experience, it taught me the true capabilities and the true feelings of what being hungry actually is. So by allowing your emotions to dictate how you behave based on not the fact that you're actually hungry, but the fact that you are dealing with an addiction, a craving to have your mouth occupied or to get a certain sensation of taste in your mouth. That is what you're experiencing. And that is what you're giving over your power to. See, the physical body is capable of so much more than what people actually know that it is capable of. And by not truly testing yourself to be in those uncomfortable situations and to be in uncharted waters, when you get hungry and you feel this sort of sensation in your stomach and your blood sugar starts to change, it frightens you. And you go into a fight or flight response. Similar to if you were being held underwater for the first time and you did not truly know how far you can push yourself with the amount of breath that you have. You see, it's a coping mechanism. When you get into that experience, your fight or flight response is automatically triggered. And during that process, it is a primitive part of your mind that takes over. The logical side is no longer present, and you give in to this reptilian brain that is essentially responsible for keeping you safe and keeping you healthy and keeping you in the best state of mind. But based on that, the value and the education that mind has is not conducive and not beneficial for where you are currently. I've seen people screw up relationships based on the fact that they were unable to control their emotional state. They were unable to act in the right way during the time that they were dealing with this craving. See, the food that we are eating on a daily basis is not nutrition. It's not the nutrition that we truly require. It's filled with a whole lot of different additives like sugar, like caffeine, like MSG, like all the different substances that people nowadays get addicted to. And that's why when a couple of hours goes past and you haven't eaten, you get a craving, you get the sensation, you feel like your blood is starting to boil and you require some sustenance. The easiest way to identify what hunger truly feels like is to experiment on yourself, to push beyond where you are right now. And I wouldn't suggest starting with an 84-hour fast because that's a monumental task, but rather take it slow. Set a particular time at night that you are going to no longer eat after. That could be 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, whatever it is, set at one time. And then the next morning, don't eat the first thing you do when you wake up. Rather, delay that for an hour or two and try and push that back every single day. The process that I'm inviting you to try is called intermittent fasting, which is what has kept me in remarkable shape throughout my entire career and for the last decade. It involves restricting the amount of calories that you do into a time window that is either 16 hours or less. This helps your body to go into a state of utilizing whatever you have in it for fuel, depleting all your glycogen stores, and therefore, after that, starting to convert either muscle or fat to fuel. And if you are storehoused with sufficient protein, this will be able to maintain your muscles through that entire process and keep your muscles from going into atrophy. And during this process, you will learn what true hunger feels like, but you will also learn how far beyond that you can actually push. And once you start to understand and learn your body and what you are capable of, you will start to develop a confidence within yourself that is beyond anything else out there. Because at the end of the day, we are meant to be in extreme conditions. Life has become way too comfortable for men and women in general today by always having food readily available for us, by having a house over our head consistently, and by having the temperature in our cars, in our houses, in our offices, everywhere we go, being regulated to something that is not extreme, by being very comfortable. See, no growth is ever going to be experienced in your comfort zone. In gym, we seek failure. Why? Because that's the only time that you're going to stimulate growth from your muscles. But in other areas of life, like learning, like work, like our careers, like anything else other than working out, we stop just before we're about to experience failure. And why is that? It's because we've been educated into understanding that failure is a bad experience. It's an experience that is looked down upon and shunned by everybody else outside of you or outside of the experience that you've had. But if you look at people like Thomas Edison, it took him 10,000 times, 10,000 different tries to be able to create the light bulb. If he had given up after the first failure, do you think we'd have light right now? Probably not. But here's what was discussed when they interviewed him. They asked him what it was that kept him going and when he experienced so many failures. And his response was astounding to me. He said that it wasn't that he was unable or failed to design the light bulb, but rather that he found 10,000 ways not to design a light bulb. And during that experience, what you can understand and what you can reflect on is every single failure is a learning experience. And it comes back to my definition of FAIL, which is it is an acronym for First Attempt in Learning. And by looking at everything that way, it gives us the grace to grow and to continually improve. As we find mistakes, we create the solutions for those mistakes. But coming back to the state of being hungry, once you have gone into intermittent fasting, you learn what your body is capable of, and then you start to push it a little bit further back. Try and do 1 day a week where you're able to do a 24-hour fast. What this does is it gives your body the capability to start reprogramming not only your physical side, but also your mental side. Because once you go for a substantial amount of time, 24 hours without any food, it creates a state in your mind and your brain where you are going to have to learn and increases your intelligence. Because based on our evolutionary experience, whenever men went hungry, their intellect would increase. The rationale behind that was that their brain was looking for a way to keep them alive. And it gave them ideas, but also presented them with opportunities to think outside of the box. Because if you're always comfortable and you're always fed and you're always in a state of being completely relaxed and safe, there is no reason for you to go beyond where you are right now. And the choice given any human being is to stay there. It's to remain in that state of comfort. Why? Because it's easy. Because it's something that is known. There's a story that I heard of a prisoner that was in a Russian camp. He was there for 20 years. And a new regime had come through. And the regime commander came and spoke to him and said, you have two choices. You can either spend the rest of your life in this prison cell where you'll get fed 3 times a week or 3 times a day and pretty much remain the same. Or you can go through that door. The prisoner asked him, naturally, being curious, what is on the other side of that door? The regime commander looked at him and said, untold terrors, uncertainty, uncomfort, and the definite contemplation of death, but as well as the ability to do whatever and wherever you wanted. The prisoner thought about this choice and decided that he was going to stay in the cell. One of the guards looked at the commander and asked him, what is on the other side of that door? The commander looked at him and said, freedom. Every single day is not a certainty. See, we don't only live once. We only die once. We get to live every day. And that is a complete and utter blessing for us. Every single day that you're alive is the chance for you to do better than you were yesterday. It's a chance for you to embrace a purpose that you were sent. Only you were sent to deliver. There is greatness within you. But if you choose not to embrace that greatness, the message that could be delivered will never be delivered. Imagine yourself standing on your deathbed, or being on your deathbed, with all the ideas, all the dreams, and all the things that you could have brought to the world standing around you, saying, we came to you. We came to you, and only you could deliver us to the world. And now we must die with you. So we can only have 2 different types of failure, or 2 different types of pain. It's the pain of regret or the pain of discipline. At the end of the day, the choice to embrace either one of those inevitably lies with us. And by facing the fear and the uncomfortability that there is and that lies in going beyond the craving of food and beyond the craving of being consistently consuming, we embrace our true nature and we get to embrace who we can be. Goethe said, look at a man as he is, and he only becomes worse. But look at a man as he could be, and then he becomes what he should be. Our job is to embrace who we should be. Have a fantastic day, guys.